My name is Zaquane Cooper, and I'm a Christian cinematographer. Hey, what's up, little bro? We made it to 2020. Unfortunately, sad to say, there's no flying cars. But what's even better is we finally got our camera. I'm writing this letter because I was asked if I would leave a note for my younger self to read, what would it say? So here it is. So dear younger Z, at the moment, things are gonna get really hard before it gets easier. Your surroundings are gonna get worse and your mindset is going to change and you're going to feel closer to the streets than you did your own family. But the love you feel you never had will get filled with a group of friends we call brothers. You'll feel alive. You're gonna even change your name from Zaquane to Zay. The parties are gonna be lit. You're finally gonna be cool enough for the girls to like back. You're gonna finally be the guy that everyone wants to be around. Around the time that I met my friends, I had just moved to Brownsville, so it was really early. You know, I was about 11, 12 years old, and when I met them, things was cool. Like, I had friends. Like, I moved from Bed-Stuy, that I later on found out is because of the gentrification issue, and I ended up moving to Brownsville. But the funny thing is, my mother made moving to Brownsville like this real Disneyland moving type of experience. She hyped it up on the way to there, but when we got off the moving truck, it damn sure wasn't no Disneyland. But it was home though. It was a new place. It was something new. So when I first met my friends, it was like a new start, a new beginning. I was able to be somebody new. I was able to be somebody different. Shortly, the hole will get filled with anger and pain, and you'll begin to take it out on your enemies, getting into fights, running from the law, and caring about no one but yourself, because no one can tell us anything about how we control our lives. And that's when we'll hit rock bottom, and we'll end up in a cell when we have no control over what we say, eat, or speak. I later on finding out that the void of what I was missing was the lack of understanding, the lack of love, but then also the understanding of love. The world gave me so much fabrication of what love's supposed to have been. I didn't know what it was, so all I was searching for was that. And I wouldn't say not that romantic love, but that actual comfort, that warmth, that real belonging that love gives you. And so, because I didn't get that in the household, and I'm not saying I was neglected in the household from it, but it was just like my mom, she had 6 kids. She raised 6 kids by herself. My father dipped out on us when I was young, so my mom had to play pops. So I didn't get the affectionate mother. I got the stern moms, you gotta grow up, you gotta do your thing moms. And then she had to do that for every individual kid. And so, yes, I was a middle child, so yes, I would get the scraps off of both tables. My oldest brother was taking care of my older brother, and my mom would take care of his 2 youngest brothers. So I was kind of stuck in the middle, getting scraps I would say scraps from the plate here and scraps from the plate there. And I was always eat last. And I'm not talking about eating food, but I'm talking about just getting things last. And then so from there, I just found love in the streets. I would go outside and I wouldn't eat last, I eat first, or I would get recognized first. But that's not the end of us though. Once we hit rock bottom, we're gonna come into an encounter with the true living God. Not that late night you have to be perfect to come to church stuff. The real God, the graceful one, the forgiving one, the true definition of love, the God himself, Jesus. I am a Christian. I do serve Christ, but I have a relationship with Christ. And I know God personally on a real level. I don't know him through my parents. I don't know him through a church. I know him through because I had an encounter with him, and I decided to give my life to Christ. But I first kind of came into an encounter with Christ when I was young. this bus used to randomly come pick us up on a Saturday and take us to this school, and it was called Sunday School, Yogi Bear, and where there's a bunch of kids jumping around. And I only went because they was giving out free gifts, and I was just like, hey, look, if I have any chance to get anything free, why not? And God has a funny way of picking at your heart when you're young, and they were just planting seeds. And as I grew up, I fell away. I wasn't really into it, but like I just forgot about it. I stopped going because I got older, and I got into the streets and stuff like that. But the encounter that I'm talking about in the letter is I ended up on Rikers, faced with a first-degree robbery charge for a crime that I had nothing to do with. But I couldn't deny it because my whole entire life was filled with that stuff anyway. So even though I know I didn't do it, my heart was just like, I belong here, type of situation. And it was one night in my cell. It got really, really dark, and I saw what my life would look like years from now, and it shook me. And I legit saw myself as the dudes that I said that I never wanted to be. And then from there, I just prayed, and I was just like, yo, God, I don't know if you can hear me, but if you can get me out, I promise I'll quit. I'll stop the partying, I'll stop the drinking, because I don't care about the girls, the money, the friends, nothing. Like, I'll stop everything. And what was on my mind around that time, it was my last year in high school, and I just didn't want to become a statistic. Most of the statistics say that, black teens don't graduate high school, and they end up either dead or in jail, and I was already in jail, so dying wasn't on the list for me. So I just prayed. I was like, if you just get me out, I promise I'll quit and I'll just finish high school. And then, people think, you wake up and everything, it was all a dream, and you got shook and you go back to your life. Like, no, I woke back up. I was still in the cell. But something was different about that day. And I remember speaking to the correction officer, and she looked at me. She was like, why you look so angry? And I was like, because I don't want to be here. And she was like, look around. Nobody want to be here. She's like, well, you need to understand that you have no control over what happens now. And she said, you just need to let it go. And I remember looking around, and I started seeing all the inmates laughing and giggling, and I'm just like, I just didn't understand it. But it was just like some peace that was in me that was like so calm. And I remember, and I said to myself, like, nobody knows it, but I said to myself, I'm like, I guess I'm gonna be here for a while. And then I went to go sit down, and then 2 days later, there was a large bang on my cell, like a loud bang on my cell, and it was one of the corrections officers. He flashed his flashlight, and he was like, "Get up, your name's Zaquane Cooper," and I'm like, "Yeah," and he's like, "Get up, you going home? Somebody post bail," and I'm like, "Wait, what?" So my bail was about $50,000, and I'm just like, I live in Brownsville. My mom was on Section 8. Like, where am I getting 50 G's from? He's gonna show us what our life really look like. And from there, we're gonna let go of our old one and accept a new one that's filled with love and purpose. Over time, we will heal our wounds, and we will fill that missing gap with love, real love, unconditional love. The love, no matter what we do, he'll still love us. That void that I was feeling that was getting filled by my friends in the streets and stuff like that, he took that desire, it was taken out of me because it was fabricated. It was a replica of what love was, and it was only temporal. So I always had to shift and change in order to refill it. Like, I always had to become something different or become something more in order to keep refilling that hole. That hole will always like implode on itself. It'll get filled and it'll get empty and it'll just get bigger. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it went from giving the love from my bros and feeling like I belong to it's depleting, and once it's depleting, I had to do more, and so now, you know, man, I gotta go, like I gotta go get more girls, and it's like you mess around with more girls, and then that don't work, and then you all right, cool, I'm just gonna, like I don't smoke, but like, oh, they said this is popping, so I'm gonna start smoking. And I was like, nah, cool, I gotta be the most popping dude in the party, so I have to amp myself up and become the centerpiece and make sure people was always around me, and like it was like this constant void and this constant thing that will always implode on itself. And I had one drop of God's love, and like that joint just kept me quenched for the rest of my remainder of my years. Like one time, just like, yo, this is what real love is, and it was just like, boom, real love is freedom. You know what I'm saying? Real love sets you free. Real love rights no records of wrong. It doesn't make you feel like, it doesn't keep a record book of like what you did wrong. God never reminded me of anything that I did wrong. He always reminded me of like what I got for you. And so I never had to go back to something else. Everything in the world always reminded me of what I was doing wrong, so I try to fix it. God never told me to fix myself. He never tried. Like he never mentioned that I had to do anything. I never had to represent myself to him. I never had to come to him like change. I didn't have to wear a suit. I didn't have to change the way I talked. I didn't have to change my friends. I didn't have to do none of that. I just had to just be open, and he legit changed everything and then put everything together. From there, he's gonna use that passion of making videos and set a fire in us that'll burn to visually spread the gospel. We're gonna become soldiers for Christ, a true disciple and a true man of God. If I didn't have an encounter with Christ, I know it may sound like extreme, but I'd have probably still been in jail or dead. Because the way my life was going, it was, the way my life was going, I was gonna die. Funny thing is about that, in theory, I technically did die, you know what I'm saying? Because I gave up my old life. That old life died. Like the old Zaquane, that legit died once I gave my life to Christ. That was just that. I did die, and I just received a new life. And if there's anything that I would want you to take away from this letter, it will be that God really does have a plan for us. He really do. God has a plan for everybody. And no matter how much insignificant you may feel, like you have a purpose. You was made for something. And I was running around my whole entire life trying to figure out where I fit in. And, what's my niche, or like who's gonna love me for me. And coming into an encounter with a pops, it's just like, I created you, and like I got a plan for you. I love you whether you don't want to do it or not. And it's like a choice. I've been taking care of myself since I was 10 years old. Not because my mother wasn't taking care of me, but it's because I was giving my mother the space to take care of my other family members. So I was working since I was 10 years old, packing bags at the grocery store and doing deliveries and selling waters and all that stuff. And I was doing that since I was young. So my mindset was always do things my own stuff. I got my own plans. And then to finally hear somebody says, I got a plan for you. You don't gotta work no more. You don't gotta think for yourself no more. You don't gotta move no more. I don't have to do anything myself anymore. Some people say, I want to be the example. Nah, I want to be proof. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be I want to be the proof that God exists and God changes people. And like I said in the letter, not the God that you have to be perfect come to church and stuff, like the proof that there's a God who loves you no matter what. And if you just accept the new life that he got for you, he'll take the old one. My name is Zaquane Cooper, and that's my note to self.